For this project, we are going to be creating an abstract painting. Abstract means that it isn't trying to look like a dog or a person or a landscape. You're just focusing on colors and shapes or lines, and you're focusing on your composition. So composition is how you lay out your shapes, creating a nice balance so that you don't have anything jumbled up in one corner and then empty on the other. You want to create a nice balance. So you can see that we are going to be creating a lot of colors. We're actually starting with one color and we're going to build from that color kind of step by step as we go. So the first thing that you want to do is choose a line or a shape that you are going to repeat over and over and over and over and over again. So choose something that you know that you can paint well over and over again, and you want to have a variety by changing the size of that one thing. So one kind of line or one kind of shape, and then you're gonna stick with that the whole entire time. So you can see for my example, I chose circles, and then my variety comes in my colors and also in the size of my shape. So I have some larger shapes and some smaller shapes. Then what you're going to do after you decide which shape or line you want to paint, you're going to get your paper ready for painting. So it doesn't matter what color you start with because we're going to end up coloring the whole paper. You want to get your name on the back of the paper and your period number. Then you want to have a paper plate, and your paper plate is going to have a little bit of black on it. You'll have a cup of one color, a primary color or a secondary color, so red, orange, yellow, green, blue, or purple. And then you need a cup of water and a brush and a paper towel for drying your brush. The first thing that we're going to do is paint just a few of that shape or line that you chose with the pure color. So I'm rinsing and drying my brush, and now I'm gonna choose vertical lines. So I'm gonna do a nice variety, some longer lines, some shorter lines, some thick, some skinnier lines. And remember, it's all about balance. The next thing that we're gonna do is start making shades of a color. So what I'm going to do on my paper, I'm going to take a little bit of my pure color. I'm working with blue. So I'm gonna put just a little bit of blue on my paper plate. And then I'm going to take a tiny bit of black and mix that in. A shade is when we're making a color darker by mixing black with it. So this shade should be slightly darker than your pure color. Once you're done mixing that, you're gonna use that to paint a few lines. Remember, I'm sticking with that same shape or that same line each time, and I'm just having my variety in how thick and how large it is, and how long I paint it, how short I paint it. Once you do a few of those, you're gonna rinse your brush and dry your brush on the paper towel because this is tempera. You wanna make sure your brush is dry. And now I'm gonna make another shade. This one's gonna be a little darker. So I'm gonna take my pure color. I'm gonna put a little more black in it this time, and I can compare it to the color that I made first. So this shade should be a little bit darker than that shade, than the first one that I made. Once I mix it, I'm gonna do the same thing with variety. Same lines, same vertical lines, some thick, some thin, some short, some long. Some should go right off the paper. So keep checking your balance as you're painting. Now you're gonna continue that, making 3 more shades. So on your plate, you should have 5 shades all together. Here's my pure black, here's my lightest shade, and then you can see each shade got darker and darker. So I'm gonna fast forward the video so you can see how to do that. done, you should have 5 shades plus black on your palette, and your paper should be about half filled. Okay, now we're gonna work on tints. Tints is when you mix a color with white. So we're gonna make our pure color lighter and lighter. I have a different paint palette this time, a different plate. And I'm gonna start with my lightest color. Always start with your lightest color when you're mixing. So I'm gonna take a little bit of white, and I'm going to take just a tiny bit of blue, and I'm going to mix that together. Also, make sure that you're not getting white into your pure color, because you won't have a pure color anymore. So this should be a very, very light version of your pure color. Once you have that mixed, then you're going to start doing the same thing as before, and you're just going to start painting and thinking about balance. You can wait for your shades to dry before you do this. You can see I kind of mixed a little bit, but that's okay. It's abstract. If your paint is still a little bit wet and it accidentally gets in there, it's not a big deal. All right, so I'm gonna make another tint. I'm gonna take white again, and just a little bit more blue this time. So it should be a little bit more blue than the last time, or whatever color you're using. So I can kind of compare since they're still on my plate. That's why it's a good idea to make a new section each time. So you can see this one is a little bit more blue than the first tint that I made. So again, I'm just going to paint those, keeping a nice balance. It's okay if you overlap. It's okay if they bump into each other. Like I said, you're gonna end up covering the whole piece of paper by the time we're done. So now you're gonna make 5 tints all together and spread those out, and the paper should be almost covered, pretty much covered by the time that you're finished.